When you're engaged, you think the hard part is over. You've survived the awkward early days, the late-night fights, the financial planning. You've chosen each other, or at least you think you have. That's why her text hit me like a punch to the chest. It came late at night, out of nowhere. I was brushing my teeth, half asleep, when my phone buzzed. The message read, "I need a month to decide if you're worth it." I stared at the screen, foam gathering in my mouth, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it. A month? Decide if I'm worth it. We were engaged. We had a date set. I had already introduced her as my future wife. She was sitting there, casually reducing me to some kind of option on a shelf. My first instinct was to call her, demand answers. But then I paused. Someone you love has to decide whether you're worth their time. The answer is already clear. She wasn't confused. She wasn't figuring herself out. She was hesitating because she thought she had leverage. So, I wiped my mouth, sat down on the edge of the bed, and typed back the simplest message I could. Take all the time you need. No fight, no begging, no drama. Just a door opening wide for her to walk through. At first, there was no reply. Hours passed and the silence was deafening. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, thinking of all the memories we had shared, all the moments I thought meant something. Was it all one-sided? Or had she just changed overnight? By the morning, though, I wasn't devastated. I was oddly calm, because the truth had clicked in my mind. If she needed 30 days to evaluate me, then maybe I needed 24 hours to remind myself of my own worth. And as it turned out, what I did in those 24 hours would change everything and leave her scrambling in ways she never expected. I woke up the next morning with her text still burned into my brain. I need a month to decide if you're worth it. Those words didn't sting anymore. They lit a fire. I decided right then that if she needed 30 days to think, I'd use one day to show her exactly what she was risking. First, I pulled our engagement photo off the fridge. For months, it had been the centerpiece of my kitchen, a constant reminder of our future. I took it down, slid it into a drawer, and felt lighter instantly. That one gesture set the tone for the rest of the day. Then I called my best friend Marcus. "She wants a month to decide if I'm worth it," I said. He whistled on the other end of the line. "Bro, she already decided. She just doesn't have the guts to say it. So what's your move?" I told him my plan, and his laugh nearly burst my eardrum. "Savage, I'm in." By noon, I'd updated my social media profiles. Gone were the posts about wedding planning and honeymoon ideas. I swapped them with photos from a recent hiking trip, shots of me smiling, looking alive, looking free. The captions were subtle. New chapter, new focus. Friends noticed immediately. Comments poured in. "Looking good, man. When's the next trip?" Even people I hadn't spoken to in months started reaching out. It wasn't about flirting or replacing her. It was about reclaiming the narrative. I wasn't the guy waiting around for someone to decide if I had value. By late afternoon, I had something else in motion. I met with my cousin Jenna, who worked at a local event space. Over coffee, I asked her about canceling the venue we'd booked. She frowned but nodded. "We can refund most of the deposit." "Are you sure?" I smiled. "Absolutely sure." By evening, my phone lit up. A message from my "Hey. What's going on with your posts today?" I didn't answer. I finished what I had started. I drafted a short calm email to our families. "Hey everyone, just a quick update. Wedding plans are on hold until further notice. Appreciate your support." I hit send and leaned back in my chair. It wasn't revenge, it was clarity. If she wanted time to think, then she'd have plenty. But she'd also realize that while she was deciding, I was moving forward without her. When I finally went to bed that night, I felt more at peace than I had in weeks. The next morning, I woke up to a string of frantic texts from her. And that's when I knew my 24 hours had done more damage than her 30 days ever could. When I checked my phone the next morning, it looked like she'd gone on a typing spree at 3 a.m. Dozens of messages stacked on top of one another, each one more frantic than the last. "Why are you posting like you're single? Did you actually cancel the venue, Daniel? Answer me. We're supposed to talk about this, not act impulsive. Are you trying to embarrass me?" I scrolled through them all without replying. The silence was deliberate. Every second I didn't respond gave her more time to sit in the consequences of her words. By mid-morning, she tried calling. I let it ring out. Then she left a voicemail that sounded nothing like the confident woman who had texted me to take a month. Now, Her voice cracked with desperation. Daniel, please, I didn't mean it the way it sounded. I was overwhelmed. I thought I needed space, but seeing you act like this, I don't want to lose you. Call me back. For the first time in months, I smiled. Not because I wanted to see her hurt, but because the power dynamic had flipped. She thought I'd wait patiently while she decided whether I was good enough. Instead, I'd proven I wasn't waiting at all. Later that day, mutual friends began messaging me. Apparently, she'd gone into damage control mode, telling them she didn't mean it and that I was overreacting. But the more she tried to spin the story, the more obvious it became that her words weren't taken out of context. They were exactly what she said. And now she was watching her engagement slip away in real time. That evening, she showed up at my apartment. Didn't buzz her in. She stood outside the building, texting me. Please just talk to me. 5 minutes. I'll explain everything. I thought about it, then finally replied with the same calm tone I'd used before. You wanted a month to decide if I was worth it? Take it. I'll be moving forward in the meantime. A minute later, she called again. I ignored it. As I set my phone down, I realized something important. Her panic wasn't about love. It was about control. She expected me to stay frozen, waiting for her verdict while she explored her options. But the second she realized I wouldn't play that role, the whole game collapsed. And within 24 hours, the choice she thought she had made for herself was completely taken out of her hands. The next morning, my phone buzzed before I even opened my eyes. A wall of notifications lit up the screen, missed calls, texts, even DMS from accounts I didn't recognize. She had resorted to using her friends' phones to reach me. The first message I actually opened made me laugh out loud. You're blowing this out of proportion. Didn't mean a whole month. I just needed to clear my head. Minutes later came another. Canceling the venue was unnecessary. You can fix this if you just slow down. And then the inevitable. Are you seeing someone else already? Is that why you're acting like this? Her desperation wasn't subtle anymore. It was practically oozing out of every word. She wasn't worried about me. Not really. She was worried about losing control of the narrative she'd built for herself. The engaged woman with a picture-perfect, the safe option she could rely on while she flirted with freedom. By lunch, she appeared at my workplace. That was her mistake. She walked in all put together, makeup flawless, like she could charm her way back into my good graces. My coworkers, curious as always, watched from their desks. Daniel, she whispered urgently when she caught me in the hallway. Please, can we talk? Not here. Somewhere private. I crossed my arms. What's left to talk about? You needed a month? Take it. Her smile faltered. I was wrong. I don't need a month. I need you. Please, stop acting like this. We're supposed to be planning our life together. I raised an eyebrow. Planning? Or were you just stalling while you figured out if I was worth the investment? The words hit her like a slap. She glanced around nervously, realizing we weren't alone. My coworkers were pretending not to listen, but doing a terrible job at hiding it. For once, the embarrassment wasn't mine. Daniel, please, she whispered again, her voice breaking this time. I said something stupid. I didn't mean it. But I remembered the cold clarity in her original message. I need a month to decide if you're worth it. That wasn't heat of Elmoman's anger. That was calculation. I heard you the first time, I said quietly, but firmly. You don't get to unring that bell. Her eyes filled with tears. She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. The crowd of silent onlookers made the moment even heavier. She couldn't control the scene anymore. She couldn't dictate the terms. For once, it was entirely my stage. She left in a rush, her heels clicking against the floor, as she pushed past the stairs. I didn't chase her. That night, I got another long message, this time an apology that read more like a plea for rescue. But it was too late. 1 month had collapsed into 24 hours, and she had no one to blame but herself. The day after her dramatic visit to my office, I expected silence. I thought maybe she would finally get the hint and retreat into whatever story she needed to tell herself. But I underestimated her stubbornness. That afternoon, my phone buzzed with an email notification. Not a text, not a call. It's an email. The subject line read, "Please read this before you make a mistake." Against my better judgment, I opened it. It wasn't an apology, it was a manifesto. She had typed out 3 long pages explaining how our relationship had been too. Comfortable, how she had lost herself in our routine. and how asking for a month apart was meant to be a test of my love and patience. She framed it like some kind of philosophical exercise, as though my feelings were an academic paper she could debate. At the end, she wrote, "If you really loved me, you would have waited. That's what commitment means. Oh, I see now that maybe I scared you with my words, but you running proves you weren't as serious as you claimed." I almost laughed. Somehow in her mind, this was my fault. I didn't respond, but she didn't give up. That evening, I came home to find her sitting on my front steps, a grocery bag beside her. When I got closer, I saw it wasn't groceries at all, it was ingredients for my favorite meal. She had decided to cook her way back into my life. "Daniel," she said softly, standing as I approached, "let me come inside. Let me fix dinner, just one night. We can talk after." I shook my head. This isn't a movie. You don't get to disappear my dignity and then waltz back with pasta and a smile. Her eyes narrowed, and for the first time I saw frustration break through the polished exterior. "So that's it? You're just throwing us away? Over one mistake?" I tilted my head. It wasn't one mistake. It was honesty. "You told me what you really thought, that I was something to weigh, to measure, to maybe discard if someone better came along. That wasn't a mistake. It was the truth." The bag in her hand crinkled as she clenched it tighter. For a second I thought she might throw it at me. Instead, she set it down on the porch and said through gritted teeth, "You'll regret this. No one will love you like I do." And then she stormed off into the night. I watched her go, realizing the irony. She still believed it was about love. But love doesn't test people like lab rats. Love doesn't demand waiting in limbo to prove worth. What she didn't know was that while she was writing her essay and sitting on my porch with groceries, I had already taken a call from someone who made me feel more valued in 10 minutes than she had in the last year. And soon she was about to see exactly what she had thrown away. 2 days later, I went to a mutual friend's birthday dinner. I debated skipping, knowing she might be there, but something in me wanted closure, not for her, but for myself. I wanted to walk in without bitterness, without anger, and just exist without her shadow looming over me. Sure enough, she was there. The moment I stepped inside, her eyes locked on me like a predator spotting prey. She wasn't alone, though. She'd brought her parents, almost like she wanted to corner me into a guilt trip with an audience. She wasted no time. "Daniel," she said loudly, drawing attention from half the room, "I'm glad you came. Maybe now we can talk like adults instead of you running away." The chatter died down. Everyone was waiting for the drama. I set down my gift for the host and turned to her calmly. "There's nothing left to talk about," I said. Her mother frowned. "What do you mean? She told us you panicked after she asked for space, that you weren't mature enough to handle her honesty." That made me laugh, not bitterly, but genuinely. "Is that the story she's been spreading?" I pulled out my phone, opened her original message, and read it aloud word for word. "I need a month to decide if you're worth it." A ripple of murmurs passed through the crowd. Some shook their heads, others raised eyebrows. Her face drained of color. "She left that part out, huh?" I added. Before she could scramble an excuse, the host's younger sister piped up. "Wait. Didn't you post last week about how a real man waits patiently for a queen? Was that about this?" Laughter broke out around the table. It's not cruel, just the kind of uncomfortable humor people use when truth slices through lies. Her jaw tightened and she snapped, "You're twisting this." "That wasn't what I meant, but the damage was done." Her test was exposed for what it was, a manipulation. Her control crumbled in front of the very audience she'd counted on to back her. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just picked up a drink and toasted the room to honesty, because it always comes out sooner or later. The room clapped, partly for me, partly to diffuse the tension. She grabbed her bag, muttered something under her breath, and stormed out, her parents chasing after her. For the first time in months, I felt light, not vindicated, not smug, just free. She had turned our love into an exam, and when I refused to sit for it, she failed herself. As I left that night, my phone buzzed again with a short message from her. "You'll regret this." I smiled, slid the phone into my pocket, and walked into the cool night air, knowing the truth. Regret wasn't mine to carry. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.